Thank you for all coming out this evening. This forum tonight is the candidates for the Moorhead District School Board. We have 6 candidates running for 3 open positions. And it will be a moderated forum. In other words, you submit questions on a little card like this, and people in the back room will give them to you if you want. And I will read them. But first, there are a few things that I have to do. First of all, in the city of Moorhead, there's a need for election judges. We have barely enough judges for this upcoming election, and we would love to have some more volunteers for that. You will get paid. You have to decide pretty quickly, though, because October 15th is the last date for training, and you have to go through training in order to be an election judge. If you can't do it this term and would consider doing it for the next election, that would be great. You can pick up information at the table in the back room that has the signs on it about election judges. There's a couple of groups that we have to thank tonight. First of all, Moorhead Community Access Media, known as MCAM, are the people over here running the cameras. And they always do our forums. They record them and put them on the web, and they rebroadcast on Moorhead cable channels. And you can check out their website for how to get to them. The online version is usually within a day, day and a half. They go back and process it and put it on the web for us. Okay. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters. And yes, the League is open to men as well as women. That's why I'm up here. The League is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We also work to increase the understanding of major public issues. The key word here is nonpartisan, and in working with this group for the number of years I have, I absolutely guarantee they, in their endeavors, are nonpartisan. The candidates tonight will have an opening statement of a maximum of 2 minutes. They will respond to your questions for a maximum of 2 minutes, and then there will be a closing, a maximum of 2 minutes. Carol is our timer right here in front, and she will remind people when they're getting close to their limit. You will notice that the names are in reverse alpha order, just because I figured that's what I wanted to do tonight, because the A's and B's always go first, so we're doing the W's tonight. Okay, Mary, did I miss anything? I got it. And I will be calling on the candidates, and they will do their statement. And opening statement, Tina. Oh, you do have to share mics. We have 3 mics, so you got to share.
Hi, I'm.
You got to get really close.
Did I turn it off?
Yeah, it's on.
Hi, I'm Tina Walker. And I'm running for school board. Oh my gosh. I'm a mother of 4 who are attending the Moorhead schools. I have been blessed that they are attending the Spanish immersion program, and one of them is currently in this special education program. The wonderful teachers and people that I have met within the community have blessed my family so much. It has provided me the encouragement to be part of the school board. I am grateful for this opportunity to meet so many new people and to ask them how we can better serve our children, because after all, it is all about them. We want them to feel safe, we want them to feel loved, we want them to be included. As a teacher, as a substitute teacher in the school district, I have seen so many ways that we could help our students better achieve their goals and their personal growth. During my candidacy, I would like to encourage others to participate and help as their children grow within our educational community. That's it.
Thank you. Keith.
I would like to thank the League of Women Voters, the Moorhead Public Library, MCAM, and my fellow candidates as well for their interest and their involvement. My name is Keith Vogt. I have 4 children in the district. 2 are in the middle school and 2 are in elementary. My kids have lived in Moorhead their entire lives, so you could say that they've They're spuds from the ground up. I'm running for school board because I want to ensure that I have an input on what's decided and what's being chosen for my children's education. I'm a parent who wants to be involved. I want to make our schools and our communities better. I have a long track record of involvement in our schools as former PTAC president last year, portrait of a 21st century graduate committee member from 2016 to 2018, and I currently serve on the Citizen Finance Advisory Committee. Also, as part of PTAC, I was on the Superintendent Advisory Council as well. As your school board candidate, I will listen and actively seek for feedback from the community. I'm committed to putting in the considerable time and energy needed for the meetings, the phone calls, the school visits, including professional development and workshops. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Rachel?
Hello. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm very honored and excited to be here. My name is Rachel Stone, and I am running for the Moorhead School Board. While I have lived in the Fargo-Moorhead area for 15 years, I was asked to join the Horizon Middle School family 3.5 years ago as I was offered a job at Student Support Services. I didn't know that I would become so attached that I would move my husband and 3 children to Moorhead and officially make this our home. While working in the school system, I saw great need. And in efforts to support our school staff and bring a solution, I created a leadership program called Leaderlicious through my nonprofit organization called P's and Q's Etiquette. I truly believe that Moorhead is a great place to live, and I know firsthand the excellent education and remarkable school staff that we have. I am so blessed and truly grateful that my children are able to attend Moorhead Public Schools and become Moorhead Spuds. Thank you.
Thank you. Wayne?
Thank you to the, okay. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Moorhead Public Library for hosting this event, and also MCAM. As a nearly lifelong resident of Moorhead, a product of the Moorhead Public School System, and one who taught in the Moorhead schools for nearly 30 years, I have a deep interest in the Moorhead schools. That is the reason I am running for a seat on the school board.
Thank you, Wayne. Cara?
Hi, my name is Cara Glow, and I am running for re-election to the Moorhead School Board. I would like to thank you all in the audience for being here tonight. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for holding this, and to the library for hosting it, and MCAM for making it public for everyone else to see. I was elected last year in a special election for a 1-year term, so I'm running for re-election this year. My number one priority would be to do a better job supporting teachers. I feel like every year we ask them to do more and more with less and less, and educational outcomes are going to start falling through the cracks. So I'd like to see more counselors, more social workers, like more grown-ups in our buildings. This is the second year in a row that I've organized the PB&J School Lunch Fundraiser. This year we raised over $7,000, and we used that money to help pay off some of the school lunch debt. When I started the fundraiser last year, Moorhead was the only school in the area serving every kid a hot lunch, regardless of their ability to pay. So as a parent, as a community member, I wanted to do something to thank them for that. I also really want to make sure that every child who walks in our doors walks out ready to find success. So I'd really like to focus on closing the achievement gap. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
That's all right. All right. I'll get nice and close here in a second. Good evening, and I'm Mark. I'm running for school board. I'd like to start by saying thank you to the Moorhead Public Library, the audience here tonight, and those at home who are watching, both online and on TV. And I'd like to say thank you to the great people seated up here with me. I know them all, and I admire them, and I really admire their willingness to serve. And of course, I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters. Over the past 47 years, I have attended many of these forums. I was born a leaguer, and these folks have seen me grow from a tow-headed toddler to a gray-headed father. I'd also like to say thank you to the women of the AAUW and the women of the YWCA, and thank you especially to the women who led the fight for ERA in the 1970s. You raised me up in politics. These are the women who taught me that it's not about being right, it's about doing the right thing. It's not about living up to our labels of progressive or conservative, but about listening to everyone, whether they agree with you or not, whether they vote for you or not, whether they like you or not, because I represent the entire community, not just those with whom I agree. And these women taught me that being elected to serve is not about politics, but about public service. I'm running for a second term because I want to bring the community together for the good of our kids. I want to help make sure that every voice is heard, every family is served, and each and every child succeeds in school and in life. Again, I look forward to tonight's discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mark. And as our rule goes, we move down, so Keith gets to start with the very next question. I have in front of me 13 questions, so in order to go through this, you may want to be a little more concise in your response, if you will. But that's okay. What should the Moorhead School District do to guarantee everyone graduates from high school? Keith, you go first.
Yeah, I think being actively involved in the school, whether that's through activities, sports, recreation, making sure that they're involved, they need to feel that connection to the school. So there always has to be that one person. I mean, you ask anybody who has gone through education, there's always that one teacher, that one janitor, that one lunch lady that made a difference, that reached out to them. So I just want to make sure that our kids feel welcomed. That's really been proven to be key to making sure that kids graduate. Our curriculum is excellent. Our teachers are excellent. They just need to make sure that they have that connection to the school and that connection to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel.
You know, I'm going to agree. It's important that we build these relationships, these long-lasting relationships. And you're going to hear me refer to my leadership program that I started, because that is what we are all about, empowering our students and building those long-lasting relationships. They make the difference, bridging those gaps. I believe that it's going to be very important that we get the families involved. Our parents need to know what's going on in our children's life. And so relationships and getting families involved for everyone, I think is going to be the key.
Thank you, Wayne.
Keith and Rachel really did a good job in answering this question. The Moorhead School District does provide the opportunity of everyone to be successful and to graduate. We have to keep in mind there are those who do not succeed, and regardless of how hard we do try to give them every opportunity to succeed, some of them will not, and that is tragic. And could you, if you repeat the question, could you do that just for a second, please?
Okay, I got to go back to it. What should the Moorhead school system do in order to guarantee every student graduates from high school?
Yeah. We can't guarantee that every student will graduate from high school, and we can certainly do the best we can. And that's what the school does, should do, and will continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Cara?
So I agree that Rachel and Keith kind of nailed it with relationships and family involvement. I think that those are absolutely critical for graduation rates. The question then is, how do we answer this age-old question of creating long-lasting relationships and increasing family involvement? And I think that's just going to require some really out-of-the-box thinking. I would really love to see us explore full-service community school model, where we do needs assessment for the families of every different school building, and then we partner with community agencies that offer the services those families needs, and we bring them into the schools. So the schools become more of a community center where parents and children are served. That's one way we can increase family involvement. I was at a conference last year and I saw this really amazing presentation on a system called BAR, Building Assets, Reducing Risks, that was all about how to create relationships among teachers and students. And the schools using this system have seen graduation rates go up and the achievement gap go down. So we just need to do some creative thinking and find the systems that are already working in other places and implement those changes.
Thank you. Mark?
I agree with Cara. These are great answers. I think the folks up here really get it. Full service community schools, Cara's absolutely right. Moorhead is behind the curve in adopting that model. We have seen success across Minnesota. We need to bring those in, whether or not we get money from the legislature. That shouldn't be the determining factor of whether we bring the community back into our schools. We need our nonprofit partners. We need county social services, county public health. We need the community back in our schools serving as mentors and tutors to really connect with these kids. Just a few technical things. One, the math standard, in Minnesota is the one that's catching most kids and causing them not to graduate. So we need to concentrate on how we can begin to teach math in the early grades so that they're ready to go in high school. The one thing we have in Moorhead is a lot of transference between North Dakota and Minnesota. So we have kids that come in 9th or 10th grade who aren't ready to meet the Minnesota math standard. We have to figure that out. Then the 5, 6, and 7-year graduation rate we begin to track as well. So if a student steps out their junior or senior year, we should be actively tracking and communicating with that student and inviting them back into the district so they get a degree in that 5, 6, or 7-year period, because we can provide education up to the year 21. And really, I think we need to bring the community in, not just business leaders, but folks that work across our community to help our students frame their education in a way that they understand life beyond high school, whether that's career, college, the military, or work.
Thank you, Mark. Tina?
One of the things that we can do in order to increase our graduation rate is to make sure that from a young age we are engaging all the students in their own education, finding ways to allow them to participate, to provide input, helping or evaluating what their needs are, addressing those needs, creating individualized planning, and making sure that every kid feels included. Allow them to feel that they have a purpose and that they have found their purpose in the educational system and that they are able to communicate well with others and stay friends and create social bonds. Graduation to me is a journey, and I feel like as teachers and mentors, parents, community members, we're here to guide them on this journey, and the best way that we can do that is to encourage everyone to participate and allow everyone to be part of the educational system and allow kids and parents and teachers and staff and everyone in the community to be part of the educational system and be a part of the personal education of every child.
Thank you. Keith, you started, right? Thank you. Okay, I'm going to make this one easy. This is a yes or no question, and rather than each of you saying yes or no, I'm going to just say, raise your hand if you say yes, and don't raise your hand if you say no. Do you believe Moorhead School District Board meetings should be televised? Do you believe Moorhead School District meetings should be televised?
Yes.
Raise your hand if you think it should. That appears to be unanimous. Thank you. That question is already done. We get that every year, by the way. Okay. Rachel, you're up next. Do you think there should be more programs for gifted students and for those having learning problems in our Moorhead School District? Do you think there should be more? And if you want to say how, that would work. Okay? And if any of you want me to repeat questions while we go, just let me know. Rachel.
Absolutely. I heard something today, and it was talking about equality versus equity. There are students with us that may need more. and that may need more specific support. And in order to meet those needs of the students, it may require them having more programs that focus on supporting them in a greater way. So yes, I do believe so.
Thank you. Wayne?
To be very honest, I do not have enough information as to what the school district is doing at this time in both of those areas. So I'm not going to try to come up with an answer that would not fool anybody.
Thank you, Wayne. Cara?
So in Moorhead Area Public Schools, we have one gifted and talented teacher for the entire school district. When I was door knocking and talking to my neighbors last year, I had a very enlightening conversation with someone who said, our gifted and talented teacher is amazing. We need 4 of her. This person I was talking to has a child who was in the gifted and talented program, and while they recognize that other children also have needs, they had come to recognize the gifted and talented program as a need their child had, just like any other. So I would absolutely agree that we need more programming. We really need to be doing whatever we can for every child. I really have appreciated the assistant superintendent's, the new assistant superintendent Tamara Usselman's vision of what individualized learning looks like, where we give students choice and we're meeting them where they are and we're helping them succeed to the best of their ability.
Thank you, Cara. Mark?
I have really been thinking a lot about this because I think in the next few years we're going to be focusing on equity and disparity, and we can't forget those kids who want to excel, whether that's in academics, whether that's in automotives, whether that is in sports or music or art. And I think the only way we can do that with the resources that we have is to bring the community in. And I had this conversation earlier. Moorhead is blessed because we are an education city. We have so many folks like Wayne, retired educators, that we could bring in to work one-on-one with gifted students. If we could find a way to database the volunteers we have in our community and link them with kids who have that interest. There are retired math professors in Moorhead who would be wonderful to work with 7th and 8th graders who have an interest in advanced math. I think that's what we need to do, because it shouldn't be an either or. We should be ready to lift up those students who are ready to excel, but we need to reach a hand out to those families that are struggling.
Thank you. Tina?
I agree that there should be more programs. Like my fellow friends said, that we would definitely benefit from more gifted and talented programs. I also feel that it would be very beneficial for many of our students to grow and expand our special education program. Having more people there, more resources, and available to the students who need extra and additional support. I was fortunate to attend a child development academy in high school, and it gave me a path and a direction and a purpose in life. And I feel like those kind of academies would greatly benefit our high school. Having a nursing academy, a child development academy, they had a police force academy, allowing the community members to come in and allowing the kids to do internships and allowing to do off-campus experiences and allowing everybody to find how they want their educational path to become. And I'd also like to see the programs to intertwine with multiple kids of different levels and different strengths and allow them to learn and grow from each other and to see each other and how they interact and learn and grow from how they can handle challenges and situations and how they can be a stronger community.
Thank you. Keith?
I agree that I think the one gifted FTE that we have clearly is not enough for a school of this size. I love the idea of bringing in volunteers. I think that's a fantastic idea. Our special education as well, I think we've got fantastic people in place. It's always a thing of bringing in more people, bringing in more qualified people to help these individuals. So students are individuals. They learn individually. They learn differently. Having a gifted program is a blessing. We need to continue to invest in that program. And also going down to the special education, we need to make sure that they're included as well. making sure that all our students feel invited, that they all have a seat at the table, making sure that they all have programs that they need to be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Rachel, I believe you started that one, right? Okay, Wayne, you're up with this one. And I'm going to combine two questions because they're somewhat related. How can we make our schools safer? That's the overall question. And then what is your opinion of having guns in Moorhead schools and training school staff to use them?
In answer to your second question, I am against it. Regarding your first question, if I am on the school board, what I would do is have the administration come up with the recommendation of a policy to the school board in order to have a recommendation regarding what should be done to make sure the schools are safe. And I would take their recommendation and take a good look at it, and if I agreed with it, which I'm sure I would, because a lot of work would have gone into it, I would go along with their recommendation. They are the ones who know a great deal more about this than I think individuals sitting on a school board. We could participate possibly in the process. However, I would take the recommendation of our professionals.
Thank you, Wayne. Cara?
I think that as far as facilities go, Moorhead area public schools have very safe schools. All of the entrances are now, locked and controlled. You sign in with your ID. So I think on that front, we're sitting pretty good. My recommendation, what I would like to do to make our schools safer, is invest in more counselors. We have 485 students for every one school counselor in Moorhead area public schools. And the benefit of counselors in our schools is that they really play a dual role. They are not only helping our students succeed by helping them manage some of their social emotional health, but they are also literally making the school safer by doing that very job. So I would invest in counselors.
Thank you, Cara. Mark?
I would agree with Cara 100%. Not only does Moorhead lag, but Minnesota is towards the bottom in the country as far as support staff. Two things on the question you asked. If you want to know about school safety, visit our elementary schools, visit Horizon, check out the new systems that we have in place. They are very, very secure. We do not allow people in the doors before they check in with the administrative staff up front. You cannot get into our schools unless you go through a single door and are allowed in. That's new, and I think people need to go and check that out. But what I want people to know is that's not meant to keep the community out. That's meant to keep the bad guys out. And so don't feel just because we have increased security that we're dissuading you from visiting the schools. I think it's important, again, if we go to that full service community school model, that the community feels welcome. As far as guns, I think the only people on campus who should have guns are SRO officers, law enforcement, period. What I did last year when we talked about gun safety, and Cara was there too, I asked the high school students to help us because they know that building inside and out. They know where you can hide within the building, what doors can be open. And I point blank asked them, please do not hold the door open for somebody when they run out to their car or do something else. We went to a single entry at the high school, door 13. But that depends on students not holding the door open or allowing people to come and go. And it's about their safety. And it's engaging students, just as Cara said. They hear things we will never hear. They have to have an adult they can go to and feel safe, telling them that someone makes them feel unsafe, or a parent, or an estranged spouse. We have to know that. We have to have a relationship with our students that's going to allow us to increase safety in our schools.
Thank you. Tina?
When you asked this question, I thought of two different levels. So I thought of the environment being safer, and then the kids feeling safe mentally and physically. As far as the environment, Moorhead has done some amazing things with keeping our students safe within the school. They have implemented the system that Mark mentioned, that everybody has to sign in at one door, and so we know who's coming and going from the schools and who is on campus and what time. They've also set up some clearances with the doors, and as I would suggest, is they would evaluate some of the levels and maybe implement some more training for the kids and those that are within the school systems so that the procedures that we are currently implementing within school to make sure that they're using correctly. The second level of safety was the concepts of mentally and physically safe. I see many kids struggling with finding a social connection with their peers, being able to feel safe within their classroom, within being around other people. And I feel that we really need to focus on making sure everyone feels safe, that they are welcomed, that if they are struggling with social cues and the ability to socialize with others, that we help them and that we find support staff, extra support staff in our budget, that we can prepare everybody to become connected within their educational journey and to feel safe. And I have to agree with my peers. With some of my peers, that I don't believe that the teachers should have to have guns. I feel like we ask a lot of teachers, and as a teacher, I would feel very overwhelmed with the idea of protecting the kids and making sure that I am properly using the gun correctly.
Thank you. Keith?
The secure entry that they had talked about, Mark and Cara and the others had talked about, is super fast, super effective. I believe it's called Lobby Guard. Correct me if I'm wrong, it was part of the 2015 bond referendum, so it took a little bit for that funding to get into place where they could add that security. As Mark had said, it does not prevent people. In fact, we welcome people from the community to come in there as long as, of course, they have a reason to come in there. But it's a safety issue. It's a security issue. Again, if you see something, say something. I mean, it's a scary world we live in now. None of us up here, I guarantee, had to deal with any of the things that we're putting our kids through, and some of the folks that we know about preparing for these sort of breaches and security things that could happen. It's very, very disheartening as a parent. There are probably some safety measures that we could implement that wouldn't be terribly cost effective, but would be very beneficial for the system. Again, it would need to be looked at objectively. Going back to Mark's point on volunteers, I think there's also some volunteer police. The DARE officer, the SRO officer, they're in the building quite a bit. I'd love to see just a random rotation of police officers showing up in the building. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, whatever that time frame looks like. I know they're very stressed, very strapped resources as well. A lot of our friends in blue are very committed to the job, and I think if you ask them to stop into school for a few minutes, they would certainly love that as well. But definitely there are steps we can make. Our schools are safe, they're moving in the right direction, and we need to continue to make sure that our kids are able to focus on education and not being safe in the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Rachel?
I myself, I used to walk those halls. I wore many hats over at Horizon, and so I used to be one of the security persons walking the halls or sitting at the front checking students in. And so I like the new changes where you sign in. I think that they're doing great by going that route. Safety in our schools, I think we definitely need to start thinking preventative. We need to do better at addressing bullying, mental health, special need, violent behaviors. These are issues that are very important, and we need to be able to provide a safe school climate. Training school staff on tools and providing them with the resources they need to best support our student needs. I think it's going to be very key. And also, I agree with having enough support staff. We need more parents. We need more counselors. We need more behavior interventionists. We need more of that in our schools. There is a shortage there, and we need more.
Thank you. Cara, you're up first on this one, and I have a feeling it may have been written by a teacher. What will you do to support our local teachers to help them teach and use their creativity and not be not be so structured and have to deal with so much paperwork? Does that sound like a teacher question? Anyhow, you guys can answer it.
Before I answer that question, I just want to go back to your last question because I only answered half of it. I'm against having teachers having guns and training them and expecting them to be the security guard and the teacher and all the other things.
Okay, we can start new on our time, Carol.
So to this question, I think it's a really great question. One of the things that Education Moorhead recently asked of the board is for us to be more involved in the schools, for us to be more involved with the teachers. I had hoped to start this last year, but life just didn't really work out, so I'm trying to get something set up for later this month. I would like to start going into classrooms where I'm invited and watching what the teachers are doing, seeing the needs that they have, seeing that the creativity that they're using, and learning in that natural environment how I could best support them. I'd like to do it monthly. I would only go where I was invited because I wouldn't want anyone to feel like they were being monitored or graded. But I think that's where it needs to start. We need to start asking teachers what they need and how we can support them better.
Thank you. Mark?
I've been teaching at the tech schools now for about 15 years, and some of those models where we are just expected to teach and meet the outcomes, and a lot of the paperwork is done by the administration. I think that is a model we should explore. I've been hearing from teachers for a long time that no teacher gets into teaching to do paperwork. But we put more and more requirements on our teachers to collect data that the state needs or the feds need. And so I think one thing a school board member needs to do is speak to those folks and advocate against busy work and work that doesn't allow teachers to make authentic relationships with students, because that's what helps them graduate. That's what creates success. I understand the need for data, but we can hire data specialists to get that done. And on the new models, I think we really have to think about education in a different way. And this is going to mean sitting down with our teachers and the community and figuring out, is the way we have been doing things the way we want to do things moving forward? Because I think it's important that we are open as a school board to new ways of thinking, new ways of administering the district, and encouraging our teachers to think in new and creative ways about how they can engage students each and every day.
Thank you. Tina?
The teachers are the experts of how things should be taught in the classroom. I believe that we should give more faith to our teachers. I have seen teachers be put on a rigorous schedule of the curriculum and how each concept has to be taught. New concepts are taught every day, and a lot of the kids are being pushed through the concepts, and there's not always time to go back and work on some of those concepts. I've seen a lot of assessments and a lot of evaluations done that I feel like could be condensed. I feel like a lot of it is busy work for the teacher. I have subbed this year for a teacher who spent all day doing assessments on kids, and then she said she still had lots more assessments to get done. We're in October, and I feel like we've already wasted so much critical time with our students that we have spent on assessing and evaluating based on district and state and federal tests, not based on what the student or the teacher needs to individually learn about the kid. Because during this assessment, you can tell as a teacher where that kid is at, how we can progress with them, what we need to implement in order to help them learn and grow. And I feel like some of the things that teachers are asking us to support them in is allowing them to be creative in their teaching, allowing them to be given the encouragement to teach and to find creative ways to teach the kids who need extra support in certain concepts. We also need to establish a direct line with our teachers, a line of communication where if a concern needs to be addressed or they feel like they have a suggestion on how to help our students, that there needs to be a way for them to communicate with us. And then as board members, I feel like we should evaluate those concerns, create a plan, make sure that we're following through with those plans, and then reevaluating if we are truly supporting our teachers. Teachers are amazing. They are amazing. They have our kids for like 6.5 hours, and it's important that we are supporting them so that they love their job and they continue to grow within their profession.
Thank you, Tina. Keith?
I think to extend the point. Teachers teach because they love it. I mean, they love teaching to our kids. They value that. We need to give them the tools. To be honest, I don't know what paperwork is being pushed to the teachers, but as Mark had mentioned, I don't believe they get into teaching to do paperwork. So we need to give them the tools to be successful. We need to make sure that they continue to be involved and they have time to do that. Teachers need to be able to teach. Students need to be able to be supported, and they need to have that thriving learning environment. There's a TED Talk, and if you're at home watching or watching this online, Sir Ken Robinson, pull it up, watch it right now. He says something very interesting, and it touches on Cara's point about creativity. He says, we don't grow into creativity, we grow out of it. So we need to spend more time learning what our kids like, learning what they're interested in, making those individual plans so that they can each succeed, going back to the gifted and the special education programs, making sure that they have what they need to be successful in our school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Rachel?
Thinking about our teachers, and this is an area that's very dear to me, working in the school system, and listening to the teachers is very, very, that's the bottom line. We need to listen to our teachers. I've heard their concerns, and think about it. There's a shortage of teachers in our community. A lot of our teachers are not lasting past 5 years. We need to take care of our teachers. They're burnt out. They're frustrated because they don't have the tools that they need to do their job successfully. And so that needs to change. I agree. The lines of communication need to remain open. Their concerns, their voices, the issues that they're dealing with, they need a voice. They need to be heard, and we need to take care of our teachers so that they can educate our students in the best way possibly and serve.
Thank you, Rachel. Wayne?
Les, I'm going to ask you to repeat the question, please.
I knew somebody was going to do that. But this one I read exactly as written. What will you do to support our local teachers to help let them teach and use their creativity and not be so structured and have to deal with so much paperwork?
I'm going to answer that a little bit differently from my colleagues sitting here at these tables. The role of a school board member is not to micromanage. We hire staff, superintendent, support staff to manage the school district. I will always be an advocate of teachers. I'm a two-time president of the Moorhead Education Association, the largest union in the city of Moorhead. So I am a teacher advocate. I will be a teacher advocate, and I would certainly listen to what they have to say. However, I would not try to tell them how to do their job as a board member. That is not our role. That would not be my role as a board member. I like Cara's idea of if she were invited to come into a classroom, if I were invited to come into a classroom, I would be more than happy to show up and sit down, but I would certainly in no way, shape, or form try to tell a teacher how to do his or her job. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. Did you start this one? Thank you. I'm trying to keep myself honest here. Okay. What kind of programs in the arts, Mark, you're up. What kind of programs in the arts would you want to see supported in our schools?
That's a great question, and it's a balance when you're on the school board because, as Wayne says, we don't micromanage the day-to-day of the schools, but we do allocate resources to different programs. And the arts, I think if we take a look at, we'll step back, if we look at sports in Moorhead, we need to have the same kind of passion from our community for orchestra and for the visual arts that we have for hockey. Because I think some people fail to realize how awesome we are at the arts. I think some people, in the media included, fail to recognize that our speech team went to nationals last year, and I can't think of any sports team in Moorhead that has won a national championship. Our speech team is feared throughout the state. I mean, we win almost every year. Our drama program, our musicals, our orchestra, unbelievable. We have the highest per capita number of students in orchestra in the nation. If you ever go to that all-city orchestra concert in the spring, it's overwhelming the number of parents and grandparents that show up, but it's overwhelming the number of kids that are involved in arts. So, and arts are critical in having a well-rounded student. So we need to get passionate, but again, in the allocation of resources, we need to supplement that with booster clubs, with parents, and with community members who are willing to volunteer and do great things for our kids.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mark. Tina?
I've enjoyed viewing all the wonderful programs that Moorhead has in the arts. I have enjoyed the little kids and their performances that they do as singing, and last year they did Aladdin at Ellen Hopkins, and we enjoyed watching them. I've seen the junior high orchestra and all the wonderful things that they're doing there, and all the wonderful kids that are being blessed by the program. I feel like they're doing a great job, but there's always room for improvement and room for growth. We can create more opportunities, we can involve more people so that kids are seeing how we can all join together and we can all be a stronger educational community in all aspects of the school.
Thank you. Keith?
How many programs? I think as many as possible, to be honest. I mean, I'd love to see more options out there. We do have a lot of great options, and I'm thrilled that we have some of the fantastic opportunities for our kids that we do. The school musicals, as a lot of the teachers there know, as PTAC president last year, it's a lot of work behind the scenes, but you come out there and you see that one kid that just shines and it just melts your heart. So if you haven't seen one of the musicals, please come out and see those. They're fantastic, especially those little kids when they get up on stage. Super excited, super fun to watch. Also, I think, to Mark's point on the orchestra, I believe it was between 20 and 25. I thought I heard 25% of all available kids are in orchestra. I mean, that's just fantastic. We have fantastic programs. We need to continue to invest time in those. And if you haven't, again, Sir Ken Robinson, TED Talk, creativity, I'm going to give you another quote, creativity is as important in education as literacy, and we should treat it with the same status. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel?
Arts, music, speech, theater, there's tons of programs that Moorhead offers, and it's great to see so many of our children participating. I believe the arts, it provides so many great opportunities for them to travel, to build these relationships. It builds their self-esteem, and a lot of times it is the very thing that grabs the attention. There are lots of our students who, may not be very interested in their education, but this, is something that they can focus on that will grab their attention and hold them in the schools. So I think that it's great if we can always, like I've heard that we can use more programs in the arts for our children. It builds their self-esteem. It highlights their talents, their gifts, their skills, their abilities that they didn't even know that they had. And so I'm in favor of the arts.
Thank you. Wayne?
The arts are very important. I do not feel that football, basketball, track, gymnastics, swimming hold any more importance than drama, art, music, orchestra, band, whatever. I think they should all be on an equal status.
Thank you. Cara?
Yeah, I really just...
Turn it on.
I agree with everything that's been said so far. I was a theater girl. I never learned to overhand spike in volleyball, but I had a couple leads in the play. And that was, one of the things that I was so excited about when we moved to Moorhead was just all of the opportunity in the arts. And like Mark said, how well renowned we are. You move to Moorhead and you know about the theater program. You know about orchestra. So, I feel like we have a lot of programming. I would certainly always be open to, hearing more if we have kids that want to do that. I agree that art should be on the same importance level as sports. And if we can start booster clubs to better fund them, to better support them, then I would be absolutely in favor of that.
Thank you. Did you start this one, Mark?
I started.
Thank you. I'm going to do a couple more, and then we'll go to our closing. Is that okay? We were scheduled to quit at 7:30, but okay. Thank you. What do you think is the number one concern in our schools, and what do you plan on doing to fix it? Tina, number one concern, what do you do to plan on fixing it?
All right. My number one concern would be inclusion. I would like to see that we improve our methods of including everybody in their learning, including them within their community, within the educational system, including everybody within the community into the educational system, making sure that parents feel that they are welcomed, that if they would like to get involved, there are opportunities to be involved, making sure the kids are receiving the educational experience that they deserve, that they are receiving all the help and support and love from those that they are directly interacting with. And then if they're not, addressing those concerns and finding ways that we can meet everybody's needs and make sure that everybody is feeling that their educational journey is moving forward and not halting. Some of the ways that I would like to increase our inclusion is just establish open communication with our staff, saying hello to everybody that we see at the parking lots as we drop off our kids, inviting people, neighbors, friends to participate in the wonderful fundraisers that PTAC organizes, making sure that kids feel like they are part of their educational plan and that they can help with others too, being good mentors, providing opportunities for everybody to learn and grow.
Thank you. Keith?
I'm going to piggyback onto that and say another one to watch. Inclusion Starts with I. It's a video. It's available on YouTube. Feel free to check that one out. It's a great one as well. The concern for me is making sure that our kids are connected. Again, I mentioned it before, our connected kids are more likely to stay in school. They're more likely to continue on and do well in school. Some of the things that I've seen as well, students do is take ownership of things. Like they can be tutors. I mean, we can use these kids to tutor some of the other kids. We can use our students to when there's a new kid in school, who knows the school better than another kid, another student? Get them to show them around, make them be a student leader, have them stand up. You'll find volunteers, I guarantee it, because they want to be involved. Just make sure that those students have that accountability. Give them a chance to shine, and they will. So another thing, Mark and I were on a committee a couple years ago. Actually, it was 2016. It was the portrait of a 21st graduate student. One of the things they had talked about, we toured 3 different schools, Alec, Chanhassen, and Burnsville, and they had talked about bringing students back. So the following year after they graduate, come back and talk to those aspiring seniors. What do you need to learn from Moorhead? What do you want to happen? What's missing? Because they'll tell it how it is too. So I think it'd be great to get those students back. Also engage in those learners that are starting to feel disconnected. They know who they are. The teachers probably know who they are. So making sure that those students are all feeling connected to the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. Rachel?
I believe that inclusion is very important. I mean, imagine a school, a community that's strong and united and effective, working together to make the greatest impact in the lives of our children, leaving a legacy so great that so much that our children grow up to be adults and they repeat the same cycle. We want to educate all of our students, and we want them to all have the same learning opportunities. How I would do that, some things I would focus on is make sure, I've been stressing that, is make sure that our staff is well supported. They need the resources. I can't drill that or talk about that as much as, that's so important. They are the key. They are the center. They educate our students. They spend the most time with our students every day, making sure that they have the tools and the support that they need to best serve the needs of our students. Family involvement is also important. We need our parents to be involved. And I've been attending PTA. I've been a member of the North Dakota PTA, and then I came over to Moorhead, and I was at a PTA meeting, and I only saw five people there. And it puzzled me because parents need to be involved. They need to be. It's important that our parents are, know what their children are learning and involved in their education. Making sure also that our alternative learning is a representation of our public schools is also important. And so that would be, and also after school programs. We need to reach out. We need to utilize all of our resources in the community. It takes a village to raise a child. And I truly believe that. With me having 3 children, sometimes they learn in different ways. You can browbeat them, and you can teach them and tell them 100 different ways, and somebody else can come in, and the light will click on just like that. And I don't care how they get it, just let them get it. So reaching out and utilizing the community resources and organizations.
Thank you. Wayne?
Les, I'm going to ask you to repeat the question again because though I agree with everything that's been said so far on this question, so far as the answers go, I might answer it in a different way.
Be happy to. What do you think is the number one concern in our schools, and what do you want to do to fix it?
I think one of the number one concerns in our school system is this, and it's a large concern. At this time, there is a Moorhead Area High School Facilities Task Force that, among other items, is in the process of discussing whether Moorhead should have 2 high schools in the near future. I am not on that task force. I do, however, trust in the task force's gathering of information and making a very intelligent and fact-based recommendation to the school board. If I am a member of the school board at that time, I shall give great consideration to the task force's recommendation and very likely go along with it. Many factors will have gone into whatever their recommendation will be, and I know the members will have given it their utmost consideration and have weighed in on all the factors concerning it.
Thank you. Cara?
I think that the most important issue that I would like to address is increasing student and staff support. I think that if we do that, we meet a lot of the other needs. We increase inclusion, we decrease teacher burnout, but right now, we just aren't staffed at a level where teachers can focus on teaching. We're not staffed at a level where mental health concerns can really get addressed. I really would like us to hire more social workers. I'd like to more counselors. I'd like to see more school psychologists. The teachers and the students need more support.
Thank you. Mark?
When I got on the school board, we're looking at the graduation rates of our non-Anglo students or our non-white students or our minority students, however we want to label or describe that population. And I went through the data that's on the state website and tried to track overall graduation rates based on the performance of different ethnic groups. I could not find a correlation. The correlation that I did find, however, is the better we do with our free and reduced population, the better we do with students who are in poverty or near poverty, the better we do overall. And so it was pretty clear to me that models like full-service community schools, where we start to meet the needs not only of the students but the families as well, and invite in nonprofits and the county and others who can help deal with the whole child, is going to help us close the achievement gap. Because equity in the achievement gap is the number one issue in Moorhead Public Schools. We need to go around the state. I was at White Earth. I've talked to the Somali population down in Minneapolis, and I've asked them, what works? Tell me what works. Don't tell me what doesn't work. And what they said works is more community engagement, full-service community schools, in-home liaisons. And as Tina said, learn the names of every student in your school, not just the teachers, but the janitors and the folks that work in the lunchroom. And that's what Duluth is doing right now with their full-service community school at the junior high level, is they're asking their staff, the entire staff in the building, to learn the names of every student. And for a student to hear their name pronounced correctly and to know the names of their siblings and their father and their mother is incredibly uplifting to those students. They feel engaged, they feel empowered. So for me, the number one issue in Moorhead Public Schools is equity, is the achievement gap. Because we need to make sure that each and every student who walks through our door is successful.
Thank you, Mark. And we're going to go to the next to the last question here. And it was asked in such a way that I've been thinking about it since we started this and how I would ask it. A person wrote in a question, I'm going to preface this a little bit, that basically said, how do we prevent our teachers from teaching a particular philosophy or topic? I'm not going to name what it is because that is not what the question is going to be. My question is, what are your thoughts on the standards that are used to determine content of textbooks, courses, curriculum for the Moorhead School District? Keith, you get this one.
I think that it needs to be looked objectively. I'll raise my hand and say I'm not probably the first person to dive into this. Again, I think it's not necessarily school board has a say in it, but it shouldn't be a school board decision. I would love to hear more feedback from what teachers want to see, what kids want to learn. We need input from our students as well. I mean, all of our students are going to have an input on what they want to learn. Parents have an input. Everybody needs a seat at the table. Ultimately, it's the teachers that are going to implement those changes, and we need to make sure that whatever it is that's agreed upon to be taught, and however that is agreed upon to be taught, I believe should be left up to the teacher. And I guess I don't know the specifics around what the item was, but I think teachers need to be able to creatively teach to whatever the content is that they're provided, and leave that open to discussion as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Rachel.
I also believe that teachers need to, we need their voice when it comes to instruction. They're the ones that are teaching, so they need to be sitting at that table. I also am not familiar with the standards. When it comes to standards and the great quality of education, I always believe that we should not lower the standards. I would say we should keep an open mind when it comes to those standards and how we teach them.
Thank you. Wayne?
I would have to defer to the administrative and teaching staff to answer this question. I do not have enough information to give an intelligent answer on it.
Thank you. Cara?
Yeah, I believe it's a collaborative effort to, we have to follow the state standards, we have to follow the federal standards, but there is wiggle room for individual curriculums, and I think that needs to be a team effort. The administration needs to be involved, teachers need to be involved, and then, I know that in our schools, the principals are monitoring teachers and making sure that their lesson plans are in line with the standards. And so I think that we have a pretty good system to make sure that things are, go in the direction that is generally agreed upon.
Thank you, Mark.
I agree with what Wayne said, that we shouldn't be micromanaging curriculum or teachers, and that I probably don't have enough information to give an intelligent answer, but I'm going to give an answer anyways. And I need more information. I don't know what it is. Is it creationism? Is it a certain part of history? I don't know. But we don't set the outcomes. The outcomes are set by the state and by the feds. We make sure that our teachers are evaluated fairly, and that we meet those outcomes. We really don't have control over that. That's something that's set in St. Paul by the Department of Education. However, let me lift this up. Moorhead is blessed with many educational opportunities outside of the public schools. We have a fantastic Catholic school system. We have a wonderful Lutheran school system. We have Park Christian here in Moorhead. If you find yourself ideologically opposed to what teachers are teaching from a religious perspective, I would suggest looking at a parochial school, because we cannot do that, period. Or homeschooling. Now, I don't mean to be exclusionary, but I feel that students should not be shielded from information they're going to need to function in the 21st century. They need to have access, and trust me, they have access to all kinds of information. If they're not finding it in school, they're going to find it on their computer. And I would rather guide their learning and teach them what is good information versus bad information, and then trust them as adults to make those decisions, than to try to control the information that we're feeding them. Because I don't want students, and I knew when I was growing up, if I found out that a teacher didn't tell me the truth or tried to hide something from me, I really lost trust in that teacher's ability to be honest with me. So I would rather have teachers that are meeting the standards and are honest and objective and showing our kids how to learn, not what to learn. But again, if you are ideologically opposed to what we do in the Moorhead Public Schools, there are many options in Moorhead and in Fargo outside of that.
Thank you, Mark. Tina.
Standards are given on a district, a state, and a federal level. Standards are very precise. They tell us exactly how a specific subject is taught, but standards are guidelines for teachers. They can be creative, or should be given the opportunity to be creative to find opportunities and resources that will still meet the standards and address all the needs of our students. If there are any concerns with our standards that are offered on a district level, then I would hope that our curriculum committee, our school board, and our district would reevaluate our curriculum and make sure that it's meeting the needs of all of our students and our parents. The curriculum is crucial to how our students learn, but it's not the only way our students learn. Standards are, there's some really good standards, and then there's some standards are pretty vague, and you're like, well, there are many things that we could do with this standard, and we can use this standard in this way or in this subject. So I think the biggest thing that we could do with our standards is to evaluate that they are meeting the needs of our students, and then making sure if there are any concerns that we evaluate our curriculum and make sure the curriculum is correct and right for every age, every student, and within Moorhead.
Thank you. We're going to move to closing statements now, and Rachel, I believe you are up first.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm very excited and honored to be running for the Moorhead School Board. Our community is rapidly growing, and we really need to be creative and strategic in this time. We need someone that can deal with tough problems and issues and has the skills to understand different viewpoints. But most importantly, I know how to listen. I've had the conversations as a former school staff in Moorhead. I work with a diverse population of students inside and outside of the school. And I am a parent of 3 teenage boys. And so they attended the schools. Investing in our youth is not a job to me. It's my life. If you look over the 15 years that I've been living in this community, I started out as on the policy and parent committee on Head Start. I saw a great opportunity as there were budget cuts happening, and I decided, I was at an event, and someone asked me to run for Mrs. North Dakota, and I saw that a great opportunity to get the word out about early childhood literacy. That started all the way back when my child was very young. In the 15 years since I've been here, I have been and will continue to be committed to our youth and our schools, regardless of their background, status, gender, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. I am committed to supporting our teachers and our school staff. My commitment is the very reason that I have not only worked in the schools, but I also created a nonprofit organization that runs in our schools. I implemented a curriculum, and it runs in the Moorhead, several schools out here. Another difference is I want to build community partnership. Again, I talk about it takes a village to raise a child. That is something that I believe in. We have to become unified. We must pull together in order to meet the needs of our community. With my involvement in bringing a new perspective and different points of view, it can only make our community, our schools, stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, Wayne.
If I'm elected to the school board, I will be first a student advocate, then a teacher advocate, an administrative advocate, and a support staff advocate. I had someone the other day ask me, Wayne, why should I vote for you? On Tuesday, I received a call from the forum, wanted me to come in and sit down with them for an interview to see if they wanted to endorse me as a school board candidate. I declined the offer, and I told the young lady this is the reason why. If I come in and try to get you to endorse me, what I would do is try to convince you that I'm a better person than the other 5 individuals sitting up here with me at these tables. That is not the case. I am not better than anybody sitting at this table in any way, shape, or form. So I told the person who said, why should I vote for you, Wayne? I said, you can vote for me for one reason and one reason only, if you want to.
Cara.
One school counselor for every 485 kids. Over 1,000 students with outstanding school lunch debt. Teachers who are being asked to do more and more with less and less year after year. I know these are problems that you care about, and I ran for the Moorhead School Board last year to try to help solve them. We're off to a good start, but we have a lot of work left to do. Some of the things that I can point to as accomplishments this year are some of the things that I've worked on. We, as a board, we hired a new superintendent. I spent all year doing my absolute best to advocate for educational equity. I served on 5 committees. I am a part of the committee that's working to approve the teacher evaluation process. I engaged with the public. I answered every phone call, every email. I spent hours on the phone with individuals. I listened to their thoughts and concerns, even if they were not the same as mine, and I considered them deeply. I advocated for a dress code policy that is fair and affirming. Some things that I'd like to work on if reelected include monthly classroom visits and increased interaction with teachers and staff, the exploration of full-service community schools, increasing the number of mental health and support professionals in our school, and working to increase equity in our schools. Your support last year made this progress possible. Your support this year ensures that the progress being made on these important goals does not get stalled or go backwards. Once again, I'm asking for your vote in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark.
Well, I want to say thank you so much. Thanks to the league, thank you to the library, the audience, but I want to say thank you to the folks that are sitting up here. I believe that each of them have the ethics and the aptitude and the intelligence to be great school board members. So please give each and every one of them proper consideration before you vote in November. I believe that we're at a crossroads in our community, culturally, economically, and politically. We're seeing this election cycle a disturbing amount of money being spent. We're seeing outside interests reaching in to pull our community apart, and I'm concerned that if the people of Moorhead do not reject this movement, there's going to come a day when ordinary moms and dads, like the ones you see up here, will choose not to run. Will stop trying to make a positive change in their community. Instead, it'll be the ideologues and the professional politicians more concerned with satisfying their base and their donors than in listening to their neighbors. I can tell you I have no interest in that kind of politics. And if you agree with me, please write a letter to the forum, call WDAY, KFGO, or the Flag, if that's what you listen to. Stop candidates at the door and say enough is enough. Because I believe the only way we will move forward is together. The only way we can help kids succeed and help our community prosper is together. We cannot move forward if we think that there's only a conservative way to move forward or a progressive way to move forward. The only way to move forward is as a community. We need to move forward together for the good of our kids, our teachers, our staff, our schools, and our community. If you want to know more about me, go to Facebook. Mark 4 School Board. I'm there. That's the number 4. Mark 4 School Board. If you don't have Facebook, email me. Mark, again, the number 4 schoolboard @gmail.com. Thank you. This was great. Have a wonderful night, and go Spuds.
Thank you. Tina.
I love the educational system. I enjoy being directly involved in the classrooms. I enjoy having lunch with the kids in the lunchroom, being part of the PTAC and meeting all the parents that are directly involved in the community and in our school system. I enjoy being the room parent. I enjoy volunteering, going on field trips, working on doing individual projects with with different grades and working on projects for kids. I would love the opportunity to learn more about the educational system. And I would like an active role in building our educational community, building a stronger educational community, and I would love your vote. If you would like to check out some of the things that I would like to strive to improve or refine in Moorhead, you can visit Walker for Moorhead or find me on Facebook. Thanks, guys, and have a great night.
Thank you. Keith.
As they had said prior, everybody up here brings their own personal experiences, and everybody up here is very qualified in different ways. So find what works for you. Please explore all candidates. And again, thanks for everybody for attending tonight and for those watching online. School board members make up the largest group of elected officials in the country. There's approximately 95,000 people that serve on the school board. There's a very steep learning curve for all new school board members, and frankly, I'm up for the challenge. I'm hardworking, I'm eager to listen, and I'm ready to collaborate with others. I'm willing to invest my time and do the necessary research to continue to use my talents and my community involvement by serving on the school board. I'll continue to be involved in one way or another. I sat up here last year, I sat up here the year before. Every year I get more involved, so you're not going to see the end of me. Also, this Moorhead School District is the largest employer in the city. We have over 1,600 full and part-time employees, so it's time we start to treat it as such. The school board also, if you guys aren't aware, there's 32 different committees that the school board members serve on. In large districts such as Moorhead, board members, as Cara had mentioned, hours on the phone, typically 40 hours a month. So this is considered a very full-time or a very significant part-time job. So I'll continue to serve the board with an open mind, with honesty and integrity, and always with students' best interest in mind. I love this quote that I heard recently. Kids make up 20% of our population, but 100% of our future. Please vote for Keith Vogt on November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I got a small closing remark here. This is the last of our forums. The League of Women Voters of Red River Valley does forums in Minnesota and North Dakota, and this is the last of the ones for 2018. We encourage all of you to go out there and make sure you vote in November. I came in here tonight assuming that I would make up my mind of which of these 6 people I was going to vote for. I'd like to vote for all of them. I think they did a really good job tonight. So let's give them a round of applause for being there. And there are 2 or 3 questions that I did not get time for. We're already 20 minutes past our scheduled time. I apologize for those that turned them in. There's a couple of them that can be answered simply by asking one of the candidates themselves. So remember the vote. See you next year.